The safe house Elena had found was a brutalist concrete cube buried beneath what had once been downtown Seattle's financial district. Reality remained stable here, mostly. The lights only flickered when someone breathed too hard, and gravity pointed in the same direction for minutes at a time. Kael collapsed into a salvaged office chair that had seen better decades, every muscle in his body screaming from the scout encounter. The corruption he'd absorbed still moved through his system like digital venom, making his vision stutter between normal sight and the frequency's analytical overlays. Sable slumped against the reinforced wall beside him, her face pale with exhaustion. Her hard-light constructs flickered weakly as her damaged resonance pathways struggled to maintain coherence. The scout's corruption had left permanent scars, jagged interruptions in the smooth flow of her abilities. "Status report," Elena said, her rifle propped against a desk covered in tactical displays showing global fragment signatures. "How many fragments do we have accounted for?" Reflect emerged from the shadows in the corner, his dual-fragmented consciousness creating subtle reality distortions that made the concrete walls ripple like water. "For secured fragment 7. The crystal containing Okafor's severed connection pulsed with faint signals from where it sat in Reflect's palm. The commander had retrieved it from deep substrate integration, cost him most of his left arm's motor functions, but the fragment echo was intact. The conductor agreed to temporary cooperation, Kael said, remembering her final harmonized message as they'd fled the corrupted concert hall. Fragment 3 active, but she's fighting scout infiltration in her neural pathways. Maybe hours before they rewrite her completely. Ryan looked up from his scanner array, thick glasses reflecting scrolling data streams. That makes 5 fragments accounted for. Frequency, archive, mirror, conductor, and signal echo. His voice carried forced optimism that didn't quite hide his exhaustion. "We're close." "Close isn't good enough." Elena's tactical display painted the room in red warning lights as global situation reports flooded her channels. Hallam's finished construction on her harvesting facility. Main installation, 5 kilometers from the largest residue zone in North America. She's preparing something massive. Luka Petrov sat motionless in the corner, his ice-blue eyes staring at nothing while the archive consumed more of his identity with each passing minute. His lips moved silently as vast databases overwrote personal memories, replacing childhood experiences with cataloged information about dimensional physics. When he spoke, his voice carried no recognition of the people around him. Fragment consolidation requires primary substrate matrix. Hallam possesses optimal extraction technology. Timeline for individual consciousness preservation, decreasing exponentially. Kael's chest tightened as he watched his former opponent disappear into pure information. The young man who'd sparred with him, who'd shared data through fragment connection, was dying by degrees as the archive prioritized knowledge over humanity. "How long does he have?" Sable asked quietly. "Hours." Ren's scanner painted Luca's neural patterns in flickering orange. The archive's consuming his personality matrix to make room for more data storage. Once it reaches his core memories, he ceases to exist, Kael finished. The fragment wins completely. Integration degradation, terminal. Host consciousness, 23% remaining. Recommendation, immediate intervention. The frequency's clinical analysis made Kael's stomach twist. Through their connection, he could feel the solution it was suggesting: absorb Luca's fragment before the archive consumed him entirely. Preserve the knowledge while ending his suffering. Drain him. Add fragment 2 to his collection. No. The word came out harsher than he intended. There has to be another way. Elena checked her ammunition count with mechanical precision. What other way? Let him die with the fragment. Lose access to everything the archive has collected. The archive contains 17 months of collected intelligence, Reflect said, his dual consciousness creating subtle harmonics in his voice. Every memory it stole from harvested resonance. Every tactical analysis from fragment encounters. That information could be critical. Ren pushed his glasses up his nose with shaking fingers. The dampeners might slow the integration process. Give us more time to. Time for what? Ghost's translucent form flickered as she phased partially out of reality. Even if we save his personality, the fragments still bonded. Still part of the problem. Kael stared at Luca's deteriorating form, feeling the weight of impossible choice settle on his shoulders. Save the knowledge that might let them stop the dimensional breach, but condemn himself to carrying another fragment's alien consciousness. Or let Luca die as himself, losing critical intelligence when they needed every advantage. The frequency whispered possibilities through their connection, how easily he could reach out, make contact, drain the failing archive integration. One touch would end Luca's suffering and preserve everything they needed to know. He asked me to, Kael said quietly, remembering their data exchange in the deep zone. If it came to this. He said the knowledge mattered more than individual survival. Sable's hand found his shoulder, her touch gentle despite her own injuries. That doesn't make the choice easier. Elena's radio crackled with incoming reports. Global fragment signatures are converging. Every remaining fragment bearer is moving toward dimensional breach points. We're out of time for ethical debates. Luca's eyes suddenly focused, cutting through the archive's data streams with momentary clarity. When he looked at Kael, recognition flickered across his features, the young man he'd once been surfacing briefly through layers of accumulated knowledge. His voice, when it came, carried desperate humanity beneath the archive's clinical precision. Take it, he whispered, extending one trembling hand toward Kael with a smile that held no fear, only relief. The archive has everything, every memory it stole from me, every answer you need. But more importantly, it remembers what I can't anymore. It remembers who I was. Don't let that be lost.